How do you feel going into the South Carolina primary?
You know, we're excited. We're doing this Beast of the Southeast bus tour. That's what I was known as, when I was governor, because we brought so many jobs to South Carolina. So we're anywhere and everywhere. We were at church this morning in North Augusta. We're here in Orangeburg, where I went to school, and then we're headed to Greenville later on tonight. And so it's anywhere and everywhere. But it's been great to be out with the people and to touch the hands and let them know that we have a country to save.
Speaking of the primary, if you are not named as the Republican nominee, what is next for you? What does it look like for you?
Our goal is to keep it competitive. You know, keep in mind we started at 2% in Iowa, we got to 20. In New Hampshire, they said we were down 30 points, we got it to 43. The goal is to keep it competitive. And so that's what we want to do in South Carolina. So we keep it competitive, and then 3 days later is Michigan, and then later is Super Tuesday. So a lot's going to happen in the next month, but we're looking forward to it. And it's a great chance for Americans to be able to vote, to know what their options are, and to let them know that it's time for a new generational leader.
Again, from the National Committee side of things, if they do end up naming Trump, would you still run?
I think, look, we don't do coronations in this country. I mean, the fact that we've only had 2 or 3 states vote, I mean, you've got, in the next 10 days after South Carolina, you'll have another 20 states vote. We need to let the majority of America be able to have their say. I think that's what they want. That's what they pushed back on when they tried to, when Trump tried to push that the first time. And so we want people to be able to vote.
If Trump were to say that he wanted you as his vice president, would you consider it?
I've made it very clear I'm not interested in vice president. I'm running for president because I think that we have got to stop the chaos. We've got to stop the dysfunction, and we've got to stop the distraction. We've got to focus on getting our spending under control. We've got to get our kids reading again. We've got to close this border once and for all. We need law and order back in our country, and we need to prevent war around the world. And right now, the country's in disarray and the world's on fire, and I think we need someone who's going to right that ship.
You were governor during the Mother Emanuel massacre. I've spoken with several people of color who are frustrated that you will not say that there is racism in America. What would you say to them?
Well, I have said there is racism in America. I have no problem saying there's racism in America. I have said America is not a racist country. The premise of America was never meant to be racist. There is racism in America, and we need to stomp it out everywhere we see it. And we need to try to make today better than yesterday. That's our goal. And so just like we brought South Carolina together in the tragedy of Mother Emanuel, just like we brought South Carolina together in the tragedy of Walter Scott, the goal is we need to continue to bring America closer and closer together instead of dividing them based on other issues.
You endorsed Nancy Mace. You nominated Tim Scott for his position, and Henry McMaster was your lieutenant governor. All 3 have endorsed Trump. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think Governor McMaster, I mean, he's the same one I defeated for governor when I ran the first time. So it's no surprise that he's going to support Trump. I think, between Senator Scott and Congresswoman Mace, you need to ask them. They have to sleep with their decisions. I'm very comfortable sleeping with mine.
Several significant legislation has been passed under the current administration, like the CHIPS Act, Inflation Reduction Act, infrastructure law, some of which people have benefited from in the Low Country. Would you consider, if you're president, repealing any of those?
The problem is you have to look at what's the end goal. With the CHIPS Act, you gave all of this taxpayer dollars away in the name of manufacturing chips in America, but you never made them stop manufacturing in China. So you totally stabbed us in the back at the same time you gave all this money away. With the Inflation Reduction Act, you're pushing everybody to drive an electric car by 2033 without realizing 70% of the batteries are made in China, our #1 national security threat. If you're going to do something in the name of America, do it completely in the name of America, not helping our enemies along the way, not throwing out taxpayer dollars where we don't see anything. Let's get it to where we're focused on how we're going to make America strong, how we're going to make our allies strong with us, and focus in that direction instead of emboldening our enemies.
When you were governor, we saw the number of incarcerated people drop 15%. We had one of the lowest recidivism rates in the country. How do you translate that nationally?
Well, you look at what we did. I went and reformed the entire prison system, and the goal was we taught them computer skills, we taught them resume building, we taught them family planning and financial planning, we gave them faith-based help. But the biggest thing we did is we put equipment behind the fence and we taught them a skill. Now in South Carolina, when someone leaves the fence, they've got a job to go to the next day. That's why we have the lowest recidivism rate in the country. What I want to do is move as many federal programs as we can down to the state level so that we reduce the size of the federal government, but we empower people on the ground. And then I want to make sure that I meet with our governors once a quarter. Right now, presidents only meet once a year. We'll meet with Republican and Democrat governors with the sole focus of supporting them in that process so that we can focus on lifting people up, just like we did adopted in South Carolina.
You've come out saying that you are pro-life. South Carolina right now has an abortion ban at about 6 weeks of pregnancy. Do you think that something federally like that needs to be adopted as well?
I think there is a place for a federal law, but I think we have to be very honest in how that comes about. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted. I had trouble having both of my children. Having said that, I don't judge anyone for being pro-choice any more than I want them to judge me for being pro-life. I think it's right that it's back in the hands of the people for every state to decide, but when it comes to a federal law, in order to pass that, you have to have a majority of the House, 60 Senate votes, and a signature of a president. We haven't had 60 Republican senators in over 100 years. We might have 45 pro-life senators. So no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president can ban these state laws. So the only way to come together is to find consensus. Can't we find consensus to ban late-term abortions, to encourage good quality adoptions, to say a doctor or nurse who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them, to say that contraception should be accessible, and to make sure no state law says to a woman that if she gets an abortion that she's going to jail or getting the death penalty. Let's start there. We've got to humanize this issue and not demonize this issue. The overall goal is how do we save as many babies as we can and support as many moms as possible.
Great. Anything else you would like to add?
No, it's a great day in South Carolina.
Wonderful. Thank you
Thanks
so much.